Amberville High School, 1984. There was a girl that went to Amberville High School. Her name has been lost from the record of this legend. So for storytelling purposes, I'm just going to call her Amber. Pretty simple, pretty easy to remember, right? So Amber attended Amberville High School during the year 1984. But Amber never graduated with her class. And this is why. Amber didn't really have any friends. She wasn't ugly. She didn't have a unpleasant personality, but for some reason, she didn't have any friends. The actual story of whatever happened to Amber that made her the way she was, it's also been lost from the record, so we don't know what made Amber an outsider. We don't know what made Amber a misfit at Amberville High School. We just know that she was one. So every day, Amber would go to school. And every day, Amber would sit alone at lunch, reading her books. The weird girl that reads her weird books. That's how the other students knew her. That's how they referred to her as. Look over there, there's the weird girl reading her weird books like she always does. Why is she always sitting by herself? What's wrong with her? None of them ever took the time to ask Amber her story. Maybe if one of them had, we might know what happened to Amber. What made her the way she was. But no, they didn't care. They rather ridicule Amber. They rather laugh at Amber. They rather keep walking by. She sits by herself at lunch every day with her head down. Nose in her weird books. Just a weird girl, Amber was. So, after a while, sitting by herself every day must get pretty lonely. It's not like she had people to be around the rest of the day. She'd wake up alone, go to school alone, walk home alone, be at home alone, go to sleep alone, wake up alone again. Just alone all the time. So eventually, I guess, it must have been the loneliness that really pushed Amber over the edge of deciding she couldn't just sit there anymore. She couldn't just read her weird books. She didn't just want to be the weird girl anymore, sitting there silently. She decided, fuck it. She decided she would give them a reason to remember her as the weird girl that read her weird books. So what happened was, Amber quit showing up at school. And that's when she almost had friends. People had noticed Amber wasn't there, the weird girl that reads her weird books by herself at lunch. People could talk among themselves, the other students, they'd say, wonder what happened to Amber? Wonder why she's not in school? The teachers would ask, has anybody seen Amber? Does anybody know where she lives? Can anybody take her homework? Does anyone know if she's okay? The office would call the number listed for her house, but they'd get no answer. Did they ever try sending local authorities, like some cops, to her house to make sure Amber was okay? No. Amber just disappeared from Amberville High School. Nobody knew where she went. She just wasn't there anymore one day. And frankly, they didn't give a fuck. Just like they didn't give a fuck when she was there. Who knows what kind of problems Amber had? Who knows what happened to her? Who knows why she was weird? Maybe she wasn't weird at all. Maybe nothing happened to her. Maybe she was just a little shy. So she never made any friends. She wasn't as socially adept as everybody else. But for whatever reason, Amber became a mystery. Amber didn't have any friends, is the moral of her story. Apparently, people who don't have any friends don't do very well after too long, because this is what eventually became of Amber. So one day, students of Amberville High School are walking to school or getting dropped off by their parents or riding the school bus. They're taking whatever means was normal for them to get to school. And this one girl, who was a cheerleader, she used to actually say stuff to Amber. She'd say shit to her like, "Why are you so fucking weird?" Or, call her a bitch. Shit like that. Completely uncalled for. I mean, from what is known of, how Amber was, I mean, I'm sure she was probably the most passive person to ever walk the halls of Amberville High School. But this girl used to fuck with her still. Say shit to her. Walk by her, knock her fucking books out of her hand for no reason at all other than her own fucking entertainment. Her own joy that she would get out of it. So, she was Amber's first victim. There's no name on record for any of the students that ended up kicking the bucket after Amber lost it. After Amber flipped her lid. So, this cheerleader, I'm just going to call her cheerleader number one. Cheerleader number one is walking to school by herself. Now, cheerleader number one was never by herself very much. She always had a guy to walk her to school or to carry her books or some other girls to listen to herself talk. She was one of those girls. But today, she's walking by herself. It was also a rainy day that day. So she had an umbrella. And out of the corner of her eye, she thinks she's seen somebody. Around the corner. Kind of felt eyes on the back of her neck. Like somebody was following her. Maybe. But then she thought, oh no. She thought she was just a little scared because it was dark outside, being that it was raining that day, and she just watched a scary movie for the first time. John Carpenter's Halloween. She just seen it, so she's a little on edge. And after she seen Halloween, she kind of got into the whole slasher craze. Then she wanted to watch the Friday the 13th, so she went around to the local video stores and found each one. She'd seen Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday the 13th in 3D. She becomes somewhat of a slasher junkie. And now, she was feeling a little afraid as she was walking to school. So, cheerleader number one's walking, she's walking, and then she stops dead in her tracks. Because what does she see? She sees nobody other than Amber herself standing 10 feet from her on the sidewalk. She says, Amber, where have you been? You haven't been at school. But then, that old snicker returns to her voice and she says, we thought you all offed yourself. That's what she tells Amber. And Amber just smiles. She smiles to herself because now there will be no remorse for what she's about to do. She is going to have the satisfaction of knowing cheerleader number one was not a good person. To her, and probably to a lot of people. She probably wasn't a good person to her own parents. So, what did Amber do? It's not actually known what Amber did, but they found cheerleader number one, and she didn't make it to school that day. And she didn't go to school anymore after that. So, at first, it was a freak event. Speculation. Somebody's on the loose. There's a madman out there, a maniac, and he's going around probably, and people start having hysteria. They start getting paranoid. They've seen one too many movies. They've seen Carpenter's Halloween. They've seen Friday the 13th. They think some psycho in a hockey mask is running around. So, the town, after cheerleader number one was found, a couple weeks went by, and there wasn't any more cheerleaders found. There wasn't any other students found, but students had started being absent every day. Amberville High School. And after those couple of weeks, faculty caught on. Then the town caught on. And then cheerleader number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Nobody knew where they were. Or the other students. There were some other students who had said some not too kind things to Amber, but what happened with Amber was at first, she only wanted to get back at that one girl, cheerleader number one. She was the only student, fellow peer at Amberville High School who had really made her feel bad about herself, really hurt her feelings. But after that day, she twisted off the cap of the jar that was her buried emotions, her dark feelings, and everything that had gone wrong for her in this world. So that's when Amber started walking the path. A psychopath. Amber had started slashing her fellow student body from Amberville High School. She was no longer a student there. She didn't see herself as a student in Amberville High School anymore. She saw herself as lost, with no escape. And whatever reason, she was taking out her rage, her anger, and buried frustration on these students. We never graduated from Amberville High School. None of them did, because Amber started slashing. And it's said to this day, Amberville High School is haunted. Not by Amber. Nobody even knows what happened to Amber. She just up and disappeared. And that's when they figured out it was her. was after she was gone. To this day, nobody knows where Amber is. She might live down the street from you. I mean, that was back in '84, so it's been about 20 years. She's no older than her 30s. Maybe that weird lady around the corner that sits on her porch and has all the cats, maybe she's Amber. But Amberville High School is haunted by the spirits of those students, the slash victims of Amber. Cheerleader number 1, cheerleader number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and everybody else. They say that the different spirits of the different students do different shit. In the library, a book, the same book gets found on the floor every day. Librarian picks it up, puts it on the shelf. One student walks the halls, they can hear his footsteps. Other students get more frustrated and they, kick things and make more of a racket. Nobody can explain it. That's just Amberville High School. It's kind of like Ghost High or some shit. Just all these students that Amber slashed, they still haunt the high school. What's even more bizarre is the high school is not condemned. It's still an active high school. And what's more bizarre is I think Amber heard me saying all of this.